Hey guys, happy Tuesday. Come on in. This is lunchtime, hopefully, if you're on the East Coast and you're about to clock out if you're in UK or if you're in South Africa. So come on in. I have a couple of things I wanted to share with you. This is the Savvy Business Chick, making sure you know your purpose and destiny in the marketplace. Hey, She Speaks, thank you. I just said come on in. Hey brother, how are you? So I'm almost at the 12:30 mark, but I wanted to make sure that I wanted to answer two questions today. First, I had someone, let me turn this down. Hey, it's lunchtime. I had someone ask me on Facebook, what are some good leadership books that I would recommend that they read. So I answered their question on Facebook, on my Facebook page, and then I also wanted to put it on this broadcast. Now, these are my opinion, and of course there are several leadership books that come out each and every year. So these are just what I would say are some classics. And then I'm going to give you guys a double feature. I'm going to talk about assertive communication. And a lot of times when they talk about assertive communication, they really focus on women being more, thanks so much. They really focus on women being more assertive communicators. But I want to give these tips also to my male viewers, and hopefully that this will be helpful to you in business and in the workplace. As you may know, like I said, this is the Savvy Business Chick, making sure you know your purpose and destiny in the marketplace. And if you're a work professional, your marketplace is the workplace. And if you are an entrepreneur, your marketplace is wherever your clients and customers will go to find your products and your services. So this is a good time to share. And I'm just going to go through this list really quick. And what you can do is let me know if you've ever heard of this book before. Number one, this book that I actually both books, actually have one of them here. This is not in any particular order, but this book is called Execution. It's called Execution, the Discipline of Getting Things Done. Okay, the discipline of getting things done. And so what happened is that in 2008, I believe, I went to a conference. It was actually for home health care. You've heard of it before? Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, as I mentioned these books, I'm sorry. Give me a number 1 if you've heard of it before, a number 2 if you haven't heard of it. So just in case, I want to make sure. No. Okay, cool. Okay, so Execution, the Discipline of Getting Things Done. So this book and the other book, which is also on my list, is called Good to Great. I actually had to read both of these books as a prerequisite for this home health care administrator. It's such a great book, Good to Great by Jim Collins. I actually thought I had it here, and actually I not only got the hard copy because we had to get the hard copy, but I got the audio book because I wanted my staff to read it. It's a really, really good book that I strongly recommend for new entrepreneurs. Yeah, in addition to the E-Myth, I really recommend Good to Great for new entrepreneurs. So Good to Great and Execution, so I'm kind of giving you guys number 1 and number 2, are really good books for leadership. And like I said, I had I was getting certified as a home health care administrator, and the conference was in Hawaii. Can you believe that? It was in Hawaii, Waikiki Beach, and so thought I was going to have a lot of fun, but no, you really had to go to class. We basically had to pay. We had to really work hard to earn our certification. And I think my certification is, I think I have it posted at my home office, but it was in Hawaii, and you had to show up to, it was so nice. It was my first time in Hawaii. You had to show up on time. You had to show up dressed business casual. So it was a pretty serious conference, and that's where I first got introduced to those two books. So that is Execution and Good to Great, as my brother said, by Jim Collins. Now, the next two books, you may or may not have heard about it, but they actually, you should have heard of number one. Number three would be the 7 habits of effective people. The 7 habits of highly effective people. Okay, so that is like a staple book that you must read for professional development, for business development. 7 habits of highly effective people. So, yep. That's right. If you've heard of it before, give me the number 1. So that is a really good book to read and to just evaluate, do I have these habits and do I need to develop those habits? Yep, the 7 habits of highly effective people. That is number 3. Number 4 is a very similar book. It's a must read. That's exactly right. Number 4 is a very similar book, which is called How to Win and Influence People. Now, this is going to help you with sales. This is going to help you with building your team. It's on YouTube audio. Awesome. This is going to help you with sales. It's going to help you with building your team and just really having a really good comfortability with people. Yep. It may say, the title may be How to Win Friends and Influence People, but you should be thinking of your customers and in a friendly way, because you want to build relationships. So they may be work friends or associates. Okay, book 2. Okay, so How to Win and Influence People. You never heard of that one. So that one is another good one. I don't think I have it here. Let me just double check. I have some other books here that I've probably loaned out. So now we're up to 4. My 5th one that I'm sharing, have to read it exactly. And let me just say that both the 7 habits of highly effective people and How to Win and Influence Friends are books that you want to slowly read. You want to read each chapter and you want to actually meditate on it. You want to say, okay, how can I do this? So it's not something that you should feel pressed to read fast. Okay. So my last one, this was really tough because I wanted to give him a really good combination of leadership books that will prepare him. He actually he's in Pakistan and he is a professor at a business school. So these are my recommendations that I hope. I found the Covey book boring and unoriginal. Oh, okay. These are books that he will probably end up sharing with his students. So the last one I wanted to share with him is Crush It, and that's by Gary Vee. And that's basically talking about how you go and you just, you're crushing it. You're crushing it in whatever your industry is, right? Whatever your industry is, whatever you're on social media. You was wondering what the buzz was about. So, yeah. Well, some books, we learn as we go. We may not feel like we can apply them right now, but then we say, oh, I can see how that, because at the time I read this book in Good to Great, we weren't a big organization. We weren't a big company, but then it really does teach you how you have to, like specifically Good to Great, how you have to constantly be looking for great people to work for you. You're always shopping. That was one of the things that it really taught me, is instead of being reactive by hiring people, that we should be proactive in looking for great people to work on your team. And so that's how you build a great company. And it really helps you with changing your mindset from a solopreneur or self-employed to really wanting to run and own a large company, even if you're at a small company level. Thanks so much for joining, guys. Okay, so those are my tips. Those are the 5 leadership books that I recommended on Facebook because someone asked me. So feel free. Thank you so much for the hearts. Hold on. Water break. I wanted to feel free to send me a message on Twitter, send me a message on Instagram, and as our friend did, sent me a message on Facebook, and I will try to answer them by giving you guys examples. I actually thought I had the Good to Great book here, but I don't. So I just wanted to at least show you guys this. All right, so that's your list. Now, I want to quickly move over to assertive communication. So assertive communication, actually, this is taught a lot in seminars, and if you are looking online for assertive communication resources, you may not find as much information. So it's actually, maybe because it's such a big, hefty topic. So what I want to do is first kind of give you some examples of assertive communication. I don't want to go, most people are all inspired by Covey. The team book was so much better. Oh, okay. Which team book was that? Put it up there. I'm drawing a blank right now. Assertive communicators, not only do they communicate a certain way, but they have a certain position. Sorry, I got you guys. I'm at my, there you go. Maybe that's better. Okay. So, they're the type of person, and this is actually, 7 Habits for Teens. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I know companies that really go by the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and they use that to interview people. So, I guess, like I said, to each his own. So, back to our second topic, which is assertive communicators. But assertive communicators are not aggressive. So if you think that because somebody is looking you in your eye while you're talking, if you are a passive or a timid communicator, that may come across as that they're aggressive communicators, but actually they're paying attention. They're the kind of person that will listen to you and not interrupt you while you're talking, versus an aggressive communicator will kind of cut you off while you're talking and not let you complete your sentence. They will establish connection. They will actually pay attention to what you just said, and then they will, basically express how they feel about it, their emotions, with a lot of I statements, I felt like the Good to Great book was helpful to my organization. They tend not to blame others or become like a victim or state things that will make them a victim. They take ownership for their feelings. They take ownership for their actions. And they're not manipulative people. They're not manipulative communicators. They're not passive aggressive, which I would like to go passive aggressive, which means that I'm agreeing with you. I'm saying yes, but in my heart I'm saying I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna get her. So assertive communicators are people that can be trusted. So you want to develop assertive communication skills. And here are some tips that I wanted to share with you guys on being an assertive communicator. And let me see. This is actually something I'm going to share with I have a training. That's a tall order. I have a training that I'm doing later today with one of my clients. And she's a female, and this is something that I want her to work on. Not that she has a problem with communicating, but I want her to develop that confidence now before she starts to go out for these contracts and verbal barbs. No. So one tip for assertive communication is, and these are not in order, is to stop saying sorry for something that you don't need to be sorry about. So that's more of a passive person. Oh, I'm sorry. And if you ever said sorry for something that you shouldn't be sorry about, and that person is like, why are you saying sorry? So you don't want to come across weak. You want to take ownership for your actions. You don't have to be. It's annoying at times. Yeah, it is annoying at times because you almost start to pity that person, or you feel like, okay, why they keep saying sorry? It's a different way to take ownership for something you did or did not do. Maybe you can say, I'm not understanding, or no more I'm sorry. Well, if you're sorry, you could definitely apologize, but basically one of the tips to be more assertive in your communication, and remember, we're saying assertive, not aggressive, is to stop saying sorry for something you don't need to be. Just basically say what you mean. Say what you mean to say. Just say, hey, okay, you know what? You asked me that question, and I really didn't have a total recall of that situation. And when I thought back about it, I just want to clear something up. And actually, I did that recently. I was talking to someone, and they called me when I was kind of half asleep, and they were asking me questions, and they were like, "Oh, are you okay?" And I was like, "Well, I'm kind of half asleep. I'm kind of not, over there." And they just proceeded to communicate with me. And so then when I realized, wow, I missed something and really important communicating to them, I called them back and I said, hey, I just want to let you know that when you called me, I need to clear something up, or I need to add something to that, to the question, to the answers I gave you regarding that question, because I want to make sure that you're clear on what happened in that situation. So I never said sorry. I just said, hey, can I offer you some additional information? Can I clear something up? So maybe you can open a conversation like that. I want you to get a better understanding, or I want to make sure that you're clear and I'm clear, and just open the communication up like that. And that's being assertive. You notice that it doesn't require that your voice be raised or you to be, hey, I need to tell you something. It doesn't have to be like that. So I don't want you guys to get assertive confused with aggressive. Actually, assertive is right halfway in between passive and aggressive, but it's definitely not passive aggressive. Okay, you may hear this very often. My next tip, you may hear this very often. You see it on a lot of Instagram posts, mostly on Instagram than you do on Facebook, but basically learn to say no and mean it. So an assertive communicator will just say no, and it will just be like, and no is a complete sentence. It's just like, so yeah, I need you to do this, or are you available? No. And just let it set right there. Just settle right there. Can you do that? No. Remember how I was telling you guys I had to tell some of my family members, to tell them about my schedule. I actually had to get my brother off the phone, not my brother that's on here. And I just said, hey, no, actually it was my sister. And I said, actually this conversation is going a little bit longer than I expected. Actually, hey, do you have time? I have 5 minutes. That was my assertive communication. I have 5 minutes. Okay, so, and I said, well, I ended up getting off the phone by saying, you know what, I'm not able to give this conversation the full attention it needs. So I'm going to call you back. And I actually made do on my promise. I called her back and I said, okay, so what I remember when you were talking to me is boom, boom, boom. And I did a recall of the conversation, but I basically let them know, no, I can't have this conversation with you right now. And sometimes that will be over the phone, and sometimes it'll be in person. In person is a little bit more challenging because I think you feel a little bit more guilty about saying no. To say, just imagine if your boss says no. If you tell your boss no, you're at work and you tell your boss no, then I am suggesting that does not need to be no, should be followed by explanation. Actually, I'm working on, I don't think I'll be able to get this to you in the time frame that you will need it. So you do want to say no, because no is very clear. I don't want to leave, but I got to go right now. That's true. You want to be very clear, because I think if speaking as an employer, a boss myself, if you are not clear, then they will just assume, a supervisor or a manager will assume that maybe he or she can fit it in. And you really need to say, hey, can you get this to me by 5? No, I won't be able to make that deadline. See how that's a little bit more clear? No, I wouldn't be able to make that deadline. Now, hey, they may be a little bit upset that you're saying leaves room for a bad impression. Yeah, they may be a little bit upset that you're saying no, but at least you're giving them enough information to now ask you, well, how come? Well, I'm not sure if you remember, but you gave me another deadline. You gave me another thing that's due. If this is more of a priority, I will definitely stop this and start something and work on this. Because sometimes, and I don't want to get into management types, but sometimes managers will ask high performers to do things because they know they won't say no, number one, and they know that that person can get it done. They can squeeze it in. Yeah, they have 10 things, they have 15 priorities in their day, but a lot of managers sometimes take advantage of high performers and will just say, hey, can you do this for me? Can you do me a favor? And being assertive is not being rude. It's, there's different ways to be assertive in relationships and being assertive and professionally. There's even a way to tell your customers no, to tell your clients no. So if your client or customer asks you, can you get this item shipped to them in 3 days, and you know that you won't be able to because maybe there's a back order, then guess what? You're going to have to say, there are different ways to use the word no at that point. You want to say, right at this time we have our ship that this item will not be shipped out until boom. Okay, so that's basically like saying no. Okay, because I know a lot of people are really timid of telling their customer no, because they say the customer is always right. Well, the customer has rights, but the customer is not always right, because I can tell you a lot of situations where the customer has not been right. But you want to avoid telling your customer no. So I would offer them some kind of alternate explanation. Thanks so much for the hearts. Okay, so those were 2 tips. How about this? And this works especially in the workplace. Avoid downplaying your role in something that you were successful with. Okay, a lot of us want to be so humble, thanks. You want to be so humble to say, oh, I just added, thank you, you're welcome. I really didn't do that much on that. Don't downplay your success. Don't downplay your contribution. Don't downplay, how you may have helped out the team, helped out the department, helped out the company. Don't downplay that. When someone is giving you a compliment, accept it. Just the same way I want you to use no as a complete sentence, I want you to use thank you as a complete sentence. So if they say, hey, she speaks, you know what, that was a really great idea. Your weakness, well, we're going to work on it. And I'm thinking about, because it's such a big topic, I'm either going to do a part 2 of this, or I'm going to turn it into a blog. But let's say, the same way I want you to use no as a complete sentence, use thank you as a complete sentence. So she speaks, yeah, man, you really did a really great job explaining that to the client, or explaining that to the customer, or getting out that newsletter. You're welcome. I will do. And guess what? Assertive communicator says thank you, and leave it like that. So many of us, especially as women communicators, that's why I think most assertive communication topics and training are geared towards women, because we are from what you're looking for. Most of us will, we want to just, oh, no, don't praise me. Don't praise me. No, accept it, being in that position, thank you, and smile, or do something genuine, and just accept that, and just say, okay, because actually people would want to give you a compliment if you did something great. But if you make it challenging to give you a compliment, if you make it challenging to give you praise when the praise was due, okay, I'm not really sure what you're talking about. Sorry, guys. So that's kind of like a part B, accept compliments with grace. Okay. remember I gave you guys an example of an assertive communicator, is their body position is while you're talking, I'm not talking. So I'm not overpowering you in my conversations, I'm listening. So basically another tip for assertive communication is to show respect for others while communicating your viewpoint and effective. An aggressive communicator may be up in your face, using a lot of hand gestures and stuff like that. Calm all that down. Okay? An assertive communicator is in control of their emotions. They're in control of their part of the conversation. They're in control of their expressions. They're not like sitting there twitching, their eyes twitching, I'm just waiting. They're not like waiting for you to finish so I can tell you how I feel. No. Sort of communication, like, okay, so I'm gonna hear you out. You know what, you really pissed me off, but I'm gonna hear you out. And then you respond, remember I said, with these I statements. You know what, I thought that when you did that, or when that happened happened because of this, but now after listening to you, I understand that this was the reason why that happened. Now, I don't really understand why it happened that way. I don't really like the outcome of it. I don't like that I was involved without my permission. You're putting it all on yourself. I didn't like that. I didn't enjoy that, but okay, so now let's deal with it. Let's deal with it. And how can we deal with it? You gave me your reason. I'm giving you my response. How can we deal with it? And this is direct communication. So one of the things that I really want to encourage and empower women, that's why I said I added this as a training for my client, is because sometimes we feel unsure. Oh, thank you so much for inviting followers and sharing it. Sometimes we feel unsure about ourselves or speaking our truth. Have you guys ever heard of that saying, speaking my truth? That you don't want to look that person in the face. You don't want to own up to, you know what, you were wrong, and I'm going to call it out, and then I'm going to share my truth. I'm going to share how I feel in a respectful manner. And it's not like making them respect you, but it's definitely just, asserting that you have rights too. You are a human being. You have feelings, whether it's, and that a lot of times it happens in business deals. You may say the other person may be thinking only about them. Well, you want to think about yourself. You want to think about, okay, how can we both, this has to be mutually beneficial, but I'm here self-preservation. I'm protecting myself. I'm protecting my business. I have the right to have feelings. Exactly. Lastly, I want to give you guys this tip that when you're silent, that is, you are basically saying, I plead the fifth, or you are surrendering your right to speak up. You speak French, bonjour. You're surrendering your right to speak up. You really need to contribute to the conversation. Don't just be the person just there brooding, brooding and bonjour. Don't be the person there just internalizing it. Again, I'm kind of speaking a little bit more to women. Don't internalize your feelings because you don't know how to express them. If you know you're going into one of those meetings, whether it's with a boss, a supervisor, a coworker, take a notebook and write some things down. Write some things down so you can start to get an understanding of how you feel. Now, hopefully you're not writing it down so they can see this, this jerk, you want to just have, write some things down, and actually an assertive communicator will let them know, okay, I'm actually, use Google Translation, okay, I'm actually writing some things down so I don't, I'm listening to you. I want to write some things down so I can remember to get back to you back to those points. So you want to be respectful and say, hey, what you're doing, you don't want to seem disrespectful, like, okay, well, they just writing stuff down, and don't be aggressively writing stuff down, you know. I'm really trying to, you know, prevent you guys from being aggressive communicators. So assertive communicator is going to speak his or her truth. They're going to speak up. They're going to say how they feel about a subject, but they're not going to play the victim. They're not going to play the blame game. They take ownership, you know. They take ownership for their actions. They take ownership for their decisions, even if they're wrong. So, and that's what I think why this goes really well with the first part. First part of the Periscope of the broadcast was someone asking me, hey, what are some good leadership books that you should that I would suggest? So I shared the leadership books, and now I'm talking about leaders really need to be assertive communicators. They need to be able to respect, even if the communication is coming from a subordinate, it's coming from someone that they hired. I can be a mixed bag. Sometimes certain situations pull assertive versus aggressive out, right? And so this is something you'll have to practice. I know that this is something I have to practice, because actually your you know, when you write on your resume, you have good oral and written communication. I'm starting to think that that's not really true. We haven't really been taught how to properly communicate. Actually, we learn a lot of our communication from our home environments. We learn a lot of communication from our social environments. We learn a lot of communication from school. You know, if when I was in college, I had some professors that, you know, really wanted a lively class. And then I had other professors, they just wanted to do straight lecture. And, you know, you just take your notes, and, you know, if you had a question, you know, come see me after class. So this is something that you really have to develop. This is something I would definitely say that you need to add to your personal and professional development skills. Personal development, because you need to learn how to communicate in relationships. Some of us do not know how to communicate in relationships, and so we get in relationships trying to communicate the way that we did in our home environment and the way we did growing up. And that other person grew up in a different environment, and then you end up not communicating well. One person is speaking Mandarin, the other person is speaking French. So you really need to learn how to communicate socially and then communicate professionally. So if you are an employee, there are ways that you can speak up to your supervisor, your manager, your boss, without being disrespectful. Remember, you do have rights, but you don't have the right to be disrespectful to your boss. And in the same way, your boss should be a person, a man or woman who listens to what his or her employees have to say. So those are just my tips today on assertive communication, and I hope that's been helpful to you guys, and please share it out. This is the Savvy Business Chick, making sure you know your purpose and destiny in the marketplace. Have a fantastic day, and I guess this is like starting my new series for Lunch and Learn. Peace.